And we are live. What is going on, everybody? We were supposed to be doing a whole rant on the Super League, and then this happened, and what has just exploded in the last hour. And Alex, we've got Mark here as well from It's 11. It's a heavy Jamie Vardy podcast. But over to you first, Alex. What is going on and what's happening at the moment? Everything's exploding, imploding, even.
You know that scene in Community when Childish Gambino walks into the room with pizza and the entire room's on fire and everything's going on? That's Twitter right now. That's the football world. Honestly, I'm loving it. I think it's amazing as a Leicester City fan and just a fan of the sport. It's really awesome to see. But wow, the last hour or so just has been absolutely nuts.
Yeah, it really has. And over to you, Mark. Obviously, we've seen a lot of fallout, but from your side, they couldn't let us have anything, mate. They couldn't let us just win, just go through to the final, and just that could be that. Nope, they have to go and throw something else in our face once again. But what can we do?
It's been a real roller coaster of emotions, isn't it, the last couple of days? So, I think we all feel a little bit triumphant at the moment that fan power is pulling this ridiculous idea down to the ground. And that's almost it's a beautiful thought in itself, because this is going to be a real line in the sand. But the last couple of days have been horrific. How people thought that was a good idea at the time, and I'm sure there'll be long-term ramifications for the clubs involved to look at moving away without the permission of their FAs.
Well, as you're saying that, I think you're saying Ed Woodward, as just before this, we were just discussing, he's resigned, and I don't think there's a single person in England that feels sorry. Maybe his wife, if he has one. But that's about it at the moment. And then just, again, the number of clubs, Alex, that have pulled out at the moment. So Chelsea, Man City have pulled out. Man United, Arsenal, and then Barcelona. It's a Florentino Perez masterclass crumbles within 2 days. That's a brilliant comment. But yeah, what else has happened? I mean, I went for a run, but that's not as nearly as impressive. So...
Like I was saying, it's just the amount of stuff that's really been breaking in the last hour. I don't even I feel like over the period of the next couple hours, we're going to see more emerge. But just from I think best was the way that Mark put it. It's been a roller coaster of 48, maybe 72 hours, and even from the rumors going off on Sunday, during the Southampton and the Leicester match, there was the rumors floating about. And ironically, the news broke at around 6 p.m., my time, and that's ironic. And, with all the American owners, so that was normal. So for my evening on Sunday night, I was just scrolling through Twitter, just couldn't believe it. But I think, moving forward with all this, the repercussions, I think are going to be very interesting to see how this plays out, not only for the top 6 clubs and I say top 6 with, quotations in England, but, with the other clubs, in Spain and, in Italy as well. Italy. It's just incredible. And I think the biggest thing, and I know one of the things that, I've had discussions with probably I don't even know how many people have discussed about this, but it'll be interesting what the repercussions will be for those top 6 clubs in England, so to speak, because the disruption that this quote-unquote Super League has caused in the last 72 hours has really just unraveled and just dismantled everything and anything involving football.
Yeah, and it really has, and I couldn't agree more. I think one thing to concentrate on is work as well. This is, even though it seems to be falling at the seams at the moment, this is not the last time it's going away. This is going to be. This is like the first wave of the pandemic. It occurred. It's going away. That's great, but it's going to come back again some other time soon.
Yeah, I mean, I think in this format, I think this will be the last anyone will try and pull. And it was almost everyone had been blindsided, hadn't they? No one knew what was going on. You hear the managers say, "Look, the first we heard of it was the same time that you guys heard of it." Felt really sorry for the managers, actually, of the Jurgen Klopp and Pep, people that were put on the spot while these faceless, heartless cretins can hide behind their conglomerates and not have to face up to the fact that they're breaking hundreds of millions of people's hearts at the same time. It's absolutely shocking. I don't know how any of them thought it was a good idea and thought that could be something that was run through. I think the guys that have come out, your James Milners, Marcus Rashford's, Klopp, Pep, they've done really, really well to articulate themselves and make sure that they make the footballing community aware of how they feel whilst still respecting their employers with a lot more respect than was shown to them in the first place, to be honest. And I also felt really sorry for the fans of those. And we'll keep saying big six clubs, won't we? Because they're not the big six. And that is the whole point of this. We started this in 2015-16. That was the start of this butterfly effect that has got all these guys running scared. And the long-term feeling towards this from me is probably going to be anger. I feel so relieved tonight that it's coming down. There's no way now that this isn't coming down.
Yeah, it has to. I mean, unless you're going to be left with the likes of a couple of teams left, and it's kind of a stadium full of empty fans. We'll have to see. But again, this is the situation at the moment. Anyway, let's bring it back a little bit to Leicester City. As you touched, I don't want to make it all about Leicester City. However, Alex, it is a little bit like we were the people that were involved in the initial. We've heard before when I think somebody put a tweet out as earlier from Leicester City account saying that an unknown person in the FA said this can't happen again in terms of Leicester City winning the league. And we all kind of know about that as Leicester fans. But we started this, but now it's coming to the point where obviously we weren't invited and stuff like that. Brendan Rodgers, he went in, and it went in such an eloquently beautiful way. And again, we love him having as a manager, but even more respect to him now, surely.
Yeah, and you know what? I think a lot of fans, across the board, not only Leicester City fans, but football fans in general, were very interested to hear what Brendan Rodgers was going to say, and just the way that he articulated his words was quite brilliant. He literally just lit a match and just set fire to those quote unquote big six clubs, and that's just something that you really love to see in a manager. He's not afraid to state his opinion. And the opinion, he believes in that opinion with, the millions of other fans that, watch this sport. And, you said it perfectly. He really delivered a well-spoken and quite clear message to those clubs and to all the fans and clubs around the world.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And again, just so the same question to you, Mark. I know I was going to get the quotes up, but I think A, we understand what he's saying without the quotes, and B, it's all kind of falling apart. So it looks a little bit not disingenuous, a little bit aged, even though it was just earlier today.
Yeah, it's a fast-moving situation, isn't it? Which is good. None of us wanted to feel that we were losing our game. Hashtag can we have our ball back and all that for longer than we needed to. And there's a real sense of achievement within the Twitter community that everyone's pulled together. I think actually we owe a real debt of gratitude to people like Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher as well, that have gone out on national television and said their piece. But Brendan Rodgers, as always, I was impressed with him at Wembley because we had the shine taken off our victory on Sunday night, and it moved very quickly from that. And he took his time with it. He said, look, I don't know anything. Come back to me. Let me have a look at it. Let me understand what it means, and then I'll talk. And he did today. And as he always does, he shows his class, doesn't he? And he is one of the best managers, I think, at articulating himself in the league, but also there's a bit of steel there as well, and he's not going to be messed about. While we're on this subject, we're talking about Brendan Rodgers, I can't believe that people are linking him with the Tottenham job. There is no way on this earth. Daniel Levy is a salesman upon all salesmen, because he can get a team that haven't won a trophy in 60 years into a so-called Super League. But there's no way on this earth, and I would bet my mortgage on it, that Brendan Rodgers would not go to Tottenham Hotspur, because it's just not the vibe that he would want in a club that he worked for. I think one day he will leave Leicester, but not for a tin pot club like that.
And not for a club that's currently in the middle of nowhere, not doing anything, haven't got anything to play for this season. I think top four is dead. Maybe they're in the Europa League spaces, but they've got nothing to play for. And again, yeah, as you were saying, we have this every time we're on a good run. The thing, it's not just our club though. You look at the likes of What is it called? He has officially just quit now. So thank you, Willow 955. He has officially quit. But bye. We don't need you in the Premier League. We don't need you, and take the Glazers with you as well. On behalf of Man United fans. I've lost my train of thought now. I forgot what I was talking about. But we're a bigger club. We're doing all right in the position we are. But he wouldn't go. The same thing happened to Ralph Hasenhüttl when he was top of the league. It was like, oh, well, he could go to a bigger club now, like Arsenal and the likes. But it doesn't happen, Alex. But we just got to steady the ship, keep doing what we're doing. And the thing is, the other clubs, the top 6 clubs, will suffer because of this.
Yeah,
we won't, and we're going to be fighting against them to secure that top 4.
Do you know something as well, Neil? They'll suffer in an area where they'll hurt them massively, because I foresee that their share prices are going to drop like crazy now that they're not going to be participating in the Super League. And you're going to see these owners then, let's see if they really love the game at that point, when their businesses, their clubs are then pretty much worthless. And then hopefully they get bought out by proper football fans who will put their hundreds of thousand fans first, because these guys haven't. They're an absolute joke. It'll be
interesting. Alex, so you're saying.
Speaking of which, the Man United's shares just have plummeted today. Someone posted that they're down 6% today alone right now.
I thought they were up 10% yesterday. Yesterday,
they're down again. So unless I don't have an updated thing right now, but yeah, it just in regards to Brendan Rodgers, he's not going anywhere. Like why would a manager of his expertise go to a club like Tottenham? It's not going to happen. He's got unfinished business here. And I think this just stoked the fire just a little bit more to prove that. And I think he's ready to do what we're all wanting him to do. And I think he's going to just unravel that big 6. And I am very much here for it.
And we said before, when we recorded after the Arsenal game, where it was like, right, now's the time to bring everybody together. Now, if this isn't an opportunity where he's gone out and slated the media and he goes, look, they don't think we can beat them. And bearing in mind who have we got last 3 games of the season? Tottenham, Manchester United and Chelsea. They're going to beat that now when everybody goes, oh, have you got a hard fixtures? Like what? The team that can't even hold a Super League position, that can't do that. That's going to be my thing, Mark. Again, that makes them 3 games at the end of the season, because it's like us going for the top 4 positions versus basically them that should be, well, Man United are, but the other teams. The fallout from that is going to be so interesting. And I still say to this day, I'm hoping us and West Ham get their positions, and maybe Everton can sneak in and maybe nick Man United position, because that'll be fun.
Yeah, I think there's a whole psychological piece here as well around what it does to the clubs that are chasing. So I think your Leicesters and West Hams will be really fired up for these last 7 games. I think the momentum we get from winning at Wembley on Sunday is huge for us, and I think we'll win the next 4. And what I also think is those teams that are the Super League teams that are now probably no longer the Super League teams. What's the mentality of their players going to be like for the rest of the season? How badly are they going to want to wear those jerseys now? I'm not sure that they, a lot of them will. I think it will put a lot of players off from playing for those clubs because of who those owners are until those owners go. So I think it probably strengthens our position a little bit there. But yeah, I've no doubt that we're going to have a good, solid end to the season. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah,
it's gonna be brilliant. Alex, any other thoughts on that? And I've just checked that there's no more new information, which is crazy. But again, you guys are probably not on Twitter that much, but over these last couple of days, it's been refresh. Check. I've been watching Sky Sports football. I never watched Sky Sports football unless Leicester City are on it, which is very rare.
Well, speaking of, for me in Canada, it's so hard to get the news for this type of stuff. For us, our sports channels are like, oh yeah, there's an incident going on in the UK right now with football. And you're like, okay. So I'm trying to find any way to listen to it. So I ended up listening to Talk Sports for I think 8 hours yesterday. Like just 8 hours straight, just listening. But you know what? Mark said it perfectly. Teams like West Ham, Leicester, Everton, the passion and the drive is going to be there to fuel them for the rest of the season. And that's huge. And I really do believe that that's going to be, the driving force to the way that the end of this season plays out. I'm going to be very interested to see how the players on these so-called Big 6 clubs move forward for the rest of the season. And I'm very interested to see how the summer transfer window goes, because you could see a lot of unhappy players who do not wish to want to play for these owners anymore. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens.
Yes, and also bearing in mind to the likes of Man United, Tottenham are in. Sorry, Arsenal are still in the Europa League. What's it called? Man City are in the Champions League. Chelsea are in the Champions League. This has to be something that they have to keep an eye on, Mark, because they're not just gonna go, okay, that's fine, you did your business. They're gonna go, no, we're gonna come down on you. We're gonna come down hard. The thing is, we just don't know what's gonna happen at the moment.
And that's right. Tonight's a night for triumph, isn't it? Really, it's going to collapse, but there has to be repercussions from this, because if there's not, the message there is to anyone that you can go out, do that, and it doesn't matter. What can't happen now is that these clubs get their Champions League reforms under whatever guise that they wanted it to be, and that carries on. I think one of the impacts of this is going to be that Real Madrid are going to be in serious financial bother, even more than they already are, because I think a lot of this that Florentino Perez has tried to force through is due to their almost £1 billion worth of debt that Real Madrid are in. So that's going to be interesting. Just another point on the end of the season as well. We talked about us being stoked up for the games. What about the guys that, let's say Manchester United are playing Burnley, who are in mid-table? Normally that would be a dead rubber. Well, actually now these guys are going to go out and prove their point again. So the teams that are up there are going to have even harder fixtures for the rest of the season, which again falls in our favour. So in some strange way, it's probably going to help Leicester City, but I wouldn't want to go through the last 48 hours again, gents. I'm sure you wouldn't.
It's been such a strange one. Now, Alex, you tweeted out that it was like, I'm going to go to bed now. And I was like, Alex is still up. What is going on? And you were like, I'm just going to wake up and see what is going on, because obviously it's happening in European time.
Yeah, and that was the crazy thing, because like when the news dropped, on Sunday, it was, like I said, it was 6 p.m. our time. So I'm like, whoa, I'm just getting all the information. Everybody in the UK is most likely passed out, so I'm like, this is insane. So it's 1 o'clock and I'm still awake. And I'm like, I don't want to go to sleep, because I feel like as soon as I close my eyes, something's going to happen. And, when I wake up, I find that Jose Mourinho is fired. He gets sacked, and that's not even the top news of the day. In any other news day, that is headline news. Meanwhile, he's taken a backseat. He's also the only manager in the Super League to ever be sacked, and that's in itself. So
but he doesn't sacked if it doesn't exist, because it's like it doesn't how it works.
Tomato, whatever. But he still holds that.
I know what you mean, though.
But you know what? Like,
Tottenham still managed to find a way to bottle a competition that doesn't exist.
They'll be the last one out, just in the hope that they can win something, I'm sure.
And
guys, what punishment would you give these clubs? What do you think? Because I hear a lot around, points deduction. Should they be relegated? Should we, fines for rich people? I'm not sure is the answer. So I'd be really interested to know your guys' thoughts on that.
It'll be fines, I think. I genuinely think it'll be fines. However, they should be deducted points. They should be they should come down harder than they came down on FFP. Like they should how Chelsea was. They should go, right, if you don't think you can do it, right, no transfers for 3 years. Let's see how you do. That would be quite fun as well. Yeah.
Well, and you know what? Like with this situation, they really need to just, slam the book on these guys, drop the book on them. I think they really need to make an example of this, because, I think a lot of us have said this before. If they don't punish them severely enough, this is going to happen again. In 10, 15 years time, we're going to be talking about the same thing and be like, do you remember 2021? It's doing it again. So, I definitely think that the right call would be, there has to be a point deduction in my eyes. I think that's clear. I think there needs to be a transfer embargo. I don't know how long that would be. And then, I don't know what else, but you really need to make an example of these 6 clubs. No slap on the wrist, no get out of jail free card, because if we don't, it's just going to happen again. And, and as bad as it sounds, I feel like fines are going to be the way that it does go, but that's not going to teach a lesson. That's only going to say to these rich owners that, you can, completely unravel an entire, not only country, but like a football community around the world, millions upon millions of people. And all you're going to get punished with is a slap on the wrist. And it's only going to be for a little bit of money in their eyes, where, this affected millions upon millions of people, their livelihood, and, everything about them for a span of 48 to 72 hours. So I really do think that something severe needs to happen.
Yeah, and I think Yetiboy makes a good comment. The money should be put towards grassroots football or lower league sides. I think that should be a great thing as well. Put that money, again, if you're going to find them, and put it towards their local community, like Chelsea does and stuff like that. Put that money there and go, right, you can have this. And that should mean we're not even. That just means that this is a small token of our gesture just to try and make up for the fact that we did so wrong. I want to reverse that question back to you, Mark. What do you think is going to happen, and what do you think will actually happen?
I think, well, what I would hope is that in the Premier League, like you've just said, I think there should be a sanction imposed by the Premier League and UEFA on transfer bans for a while, because I think, these guys are going to go and try and buy their way out of trouble. I think points deduction is fair as well for this season, for their action. If that happens, Arsenal could get relegated because they're down in mid-table. And just a really interesting one as well is I can't see how UEFA can allow those 12 clubs to compete in next season's Champions League, which means we're going to win the Champions League next season, guys. So we'll win the FA Cup this season and the Champions League next season.
Yeah, you make a really good point on that, because how do you have these 12 clubs that create this new league to bypass the champions in the Europa League, and then what are they going to be like? Well, we expect to play in the Champions League next year. Absolutely not. You created a league to defer this league. There's no way that these leagues, you shouldn't be allowed to play in them. There's and make that a statement, being like, you know what, this is what you did. You're banned from these leagues for 10 years, 15 years. Make it hurt, being like, you do this, you're not doing it again.
You ever try this again, double the penalty.
Exactly.
The other side of that is they'll lose that revenue from the Champions League, those clubs. So financially, that will hurt them. But UEFA are not squeaky clean at any given point.
They've got to show that they're good guys.
No, they've got to show that they've got some moral fortitude now and say, do you know what, we don't want you here for a period of time, because actually those clubs bring the money back to UEFA through the Champions League, and UEFA needs to be really strong and say, right, for 2, 3, 5, however many years, you can't compete because of your owners have done this. And when that happens, those top players leave those top clubs, and you get a more level playing field. So it's going to work really. If that is the case, it'll be the opposite effect of what those clubs were trying to do. And we all feel passionate about that. I think this is a good day for football today. I think the last 2 days have been absolutely horrific.
Yeah, it's been weird. It's been like mourning something else. Like, oh my god! And we were all thinking and with the backing of somebody like JP Morgan, and you're thinking, oh my god, this might be real. But again, it's something that on paper looked feasible, but when you actually thought about it, you went, this makes no sense. And you're not even cold, but there's so many things that would have gone wrong. 100% would have completely gone wrong.
Yeah, you look at the MLS, and the MLS, that was their structure from the start, wasn't it? So that was the way that league was built, and it was the way that those franchises were farmed out to different areas. But our clubs, our cities, our towns, our people are built around our game. It was created in this country. We're not having it taken away and being monopolised like that by a select few. It's not going to happen. This belongs to all of us. From where I am, we've got probably 9 or 10 local teams within 20 miles that are in the Football League pyramid, and I don't want to see those teams go under for the sakes of Manchester United drawing 0-0 with Real Madrid 15 times.
Yeah, in Dubai, India, Australia, North Carolina, New York. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Maybe they'll come up to Canada as well.
And do you know what the thing is? And I think, Mark, you hit this, you hit it perfectly. When we look at the MLS, even as a Canadian, there is Toronto FC. We're in the MLS. I don't watch any MLS soccer, because that's what we call it over here. I don't call it that, but like just the way that there's nothing exciting about it. There's no relegation battles. There's no promotion battles. It's first and last. That's and then somewhere in between. There's never anything exciting about it, and that's one thing why I started watching European football. It was the excitement. Everything about it just was completely different from what I'm so accustomed to over here. So and that's the one thing that for me is what makes me so passionate about European football, is that the acts, from start to finish, at the start of the season to the middle of the season to the end of the season, anything could happen. Your club could be one of the best in the league, but if you have a couple slip ups, you could be fighting to go a relegation battle. Your club could be in top for years, and then all of a sudden you're in League Two. Look at Sunderland as an example. A team that was in the Premier League for years is now in a league far below, but their fans are still as passionate as ever. That's one thing that I love about the European football. As to the MLS and all that, it's a different game, and it's just something that I love, and I just love the passion from all the fans over there.
It's the romance. It's the romance of it as well, isn't it? You want your Andy King setting foot on the Leicester City field.
Where's my Andy King shirt? I'll go get my Andy King shirt. I've got it.
You can setting foot on that pitch, thinking that you can win the Premier League in 10 years' time, having won League One and the Championships. You got Aston Villa, who were a massive club that went down and struggled and then got back up, and that's all part of the game, isn't it? You're there on merit, and you have to be at the top of your game on merit. And the teams that I'm laughing as I say it, some of the teams that were chosen are not the biggest clubs. They're not even in the top 10 in the league. Arsenal, I don't think, at the minute. It's just bizarre.
Well, and that's the thing. At the end of the day, I think a lot of fans are looking at this being I look at the two clubs that you mentioned, Arsenal and Spurs. There's nothing big about these two clubs.
There's not, but you take the top 6 in the Premier League, right? The top 6, I would say, since January, since Tuchel came in, right? Out of them 6, how many can you honestly say play good football? Manchester City, sure. Manchester United, no. Tottenham, definitely not. Arsenal, no, not really. You wouldn't go, I want to watch an Arsenal game. Do you know what I mean? We play good football. Leeds play good football because you don't know what's going to happen. Man City surely play good football. Who's the last one? Chelsea don't play good football. I'm sorry, but they play pragmatic football, but it's not good football. Liverpool play, I'd say Liverpool are exciting, but out of them top 6, 2 of them are exciting. Are you going to let them in?
Sorry, you go.
It just shows you the separation of these owners. These owners are so separated from not only the fan base, but from the sport in general, that all they see are dollar signs. That's all they see. There's nothing else to it. It's great.
Yeah, and it's fun to see everything collapse around them. I'll show you. So again, I'm Generation Andy King. I've went to see him. I've seen him score against Man City for 2-2. Again, when we were down in the Championship, thinking we ain't gonna get. It was one of my favorite games of all time because I was a young kid and I was like, we ain't gonna get any result out of this. I saw Perez and with his shark bite in the side of his neck, and I was like, we ain't gonna get anything out of this. And then Sol Bamba scores, and I was like, and then that made me believe. I was like, we can actually do something. Before that, we've just lost every single game pretty much. So it's on the back of the champion when I won the league. So this is my Andy King shirt. Again, I'm kind of generation. I can't see at the moment. Generation Andy King. So that's the way I think, and I appreciate him. And again, winning the league is insane. And he's won League One, Championship, Premier League. I think he played in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, I want to say. I can't remember if he did. I think him and Daniel Amart, I can't remember. But again, it's brilliant to see. And you love to see how bad it is. I got some good comments as well. Yeti Boy puts in, the problem with the points deductions, it punishes the fans, whereas the ownership can get punished. I just want to get your thoughts on that, Mark.
Yeah, I understand that. Well, fortunately for those fans of those clubs,
they're always going to be punished.
there has got to be a punishment, and it will affect the fans of those clubs. I don't see how something can be effective now that'll affect the owners that won't affect the fans, unless those owners get expelled from running football clubs. But then there's the whole legal side of that on, how do you remove people that own these businesses? And I would suggest that the fit and proper checks that the FA do are not particularly good, because we've got people that aren't fit and proper running these clubs in this country at the minute. So that's certainly something to look at. But I totally understand that, and I feel very sorry for a lot of the fans of these clubs as well. I saw a good bit of marketing by Grimsby Town. I'm not sure if you guys did. A local club. So it was a big shirt amnesty group. They were trying to collect some supporters, I think, from the big six clubs. A lot of people said they'd walk away from supporting them, didn't they? So yeah, I understand that, and I do feel sorry for them. But I think at the very least they should be expelled from European competition.
At a bare minimum, and again, let them not get the money for that as well, because that's one thing. You're just like, this is standard. I just want to get your thoughts on that, Alex.
Yeah, you know what? Like, I think with the whole, it's going to be really hard for this punishment to separate fans from the owners, and that's the blow of these types of situations. As fans, but from who I've spoken to, because I know a lot of people over here in Canada that are fans of one of the, quote unquote, big six clubs. And even them, they have all been very shaken by this. And they're not like 1 year watching, Chelsea, or 2 years watching Man City. Like these guys I've been talking to have been, fans for years. And a lot of them are like, I can't do this anymore. Like, why am I supporting a club whose owners do not care? And I've had friends that have already said, tell me more about Leicester. I'm interested. I've had people tell
more
me,
than
you know what?
Yeah, as long as you're decent. Yeah, sorry.
I was going to say, one of my buddies just said, you know what? Leeds look like they have a really deep history, and I know they do that. So you know what? Why not start cheering for them? And I think you're really going to see a really big shift. And I think a lot of fans of these big six clubs are going to feel very challenged to really look at this and be like, how do I support this club that I've loved for 20, 30, 40, 50 years? This club isn't the same that I used to cheer for. And I think it's going to challenge a lot of fans being like, is this the club that I supported for so many years? And you might see fans from around the world, change allegiance, which will be very interesting. I'm very interested to see, what happens next with a lot of the fans around the world.
It will be very interesting. I think the majority of them will stay, and they'll see what happens, Mark. But again, it'll be interesting the fallout of that and which clubs they decide to pick on next.
Yeah, I'd struggle if it was Leicester. I love Leicester City. My wife will tell you that it's all I ever speak about, day in, day out. But if that was our club, and I know we're in a really fortunate position with the ownership we're on, I don't think I'd be able to continue. And that really sort of hurts me to even say. So I can imagine there'll be people that would have fallen out of love with football totally if that had been the case. I would find it particularly hard to switch allegiances. I'm not sure I could ever go and find myself cheering on a Nottingham Forest, Derby County, or big club.
Leicester. Leicester in such a unique position at the moment, where I'm like, Wolves, maybe.
No, not where I live. No.
Like,
I live in the West Mid, too close to Wolves, so no, that's not an option.
I think look at this, like when you look at this as a Leicester City fan, I think we are so lucky and we are so blessed to have the ownership that we do. They truly love not only the sport, but they love and they are passionate about their fans. And I think that just echoed even louder over these last 72 hours or so. I think it's a great time to be a Leicester City fan, and I think we are so blessed to have the ownership that we do, because there's never a doubt in my mind, that the owners would ever do this. And even when you look at the time when when they were voting about the pricing for
I don't know if Mark can see this, but he's got a comment.
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
support OH Leuven
Yeah.
clubs. This is club. I mean, it makes sense,
Yeah.
but again, that's kind of tied to it. So it's not.
Yeah.
If they were that bad, I wouldn't want to support them.
And I was going to say the last thing was, you even look at the fact that, when the vote would do in the Premier League about, charging everybody to watch the game.
Mm-hmm.
And Leicester was the only team that decided not to do that. That's just a statement in itself. And we were really, truly lucky to be Leicester City fans and having the ownership that we do.
Exactly.
It's around core values, isn't it? And that's important to me personally. I'm proud to support Leicester. I think for me tonight as well, this is just the start of the fallout from this. This situation is so fluid. You don't know. We've been on here 35 minutes. You don't know what's happened in those 35 minutes. So
I've been constantly refreshing everything to try and find out.
Happening, and over the next sort of a week or so, things could change really, really rapidly. The state of where we are as a nation. 2 days ago, we're talking about a supermarket suing a supermarket over a caterpillar, and now it's all about it's all about the Premier Super League.
I'm not very good at news.
I just want to read something out that just came out. It's from Liverpool. All the players, they came together and did a collective, they just released something collectively. It says, "We don't like it and we don't want it to happen. This is our collective position. Our commitment to this football club and its supporters is absolute and unconditional. You'll never walk alone."
Who's that from? The Leicester City, the Liverpool.
Liverpool.
Yeah,
that's from the players.
Good, concise and solid, isn't it? They can't really say too much more under contract, can they?
Mm-hmm. But the fact that they did, the fact that Bruno Fernandes came out, even though he had a lot to lose in that situation. I mean, but again, I think he's in a privileged position where they can, and what they're going to do, get rid of Bruno Fernandes from their team. I mean, he's the only person that's pretty much made them tick since he joined. But again, So again, it is people just saying, I never thought I'd see Journey Mourinho, as Alex was saying, it's sacked. So it's funny. Jordan Henderson posted that. So yeah, thank you, Diego, for that. But again, it's funny how this happens in such a small amount of time, and I've never known anything to just come to out of nowhere and then just to explode and then literally implode, and it's literally like a rocket ship. It's like a rocket ship that's gone wrong and exploded, and now we're just seeing the debris falling down from the sky, and we're going to see who's going to pick up the pieces.
It's one of those business decisions that will go down in history as being spectacularly wrong. I don't know. I think there's almost a bit where you go, any of us could be a billionaire, because if people that stupid can become billionaires, then there's hope for all of us, isn't there?
If they're billionaires, but if you're a billionaire, it means you're good in one set. We all know people. Like I used to work in IT. Somebody are phenomenal at their roles, but if you ask them to go and organize a meeting, to cook a dinner, they're useless. Just because you're good at one thing, which is making money, and they're successful at that. But it doesn't mean that them skills are transferable to every single life situation. And we're seeing that now, that they think, oh, well, we've got money. Of course, we're going to sort it out. They have no idea. Absolutely nothing. What can you do? What can you do with this one? Again, good question. Football is nothing without the fans. Exactly. No worries. I think we'll wrap it up relatively soon. But if you guys got anything else to say, because again, it's currently 0-0 to Brighton. Let's see if Brighton can. I won't say anything, because normally, Alex, every time we do a preview and there's a match going on, we always get the result wrong.
It's 0-0 to Brighton.
0-0 to Brighton versus Chelsea at the moment. But normally, I'll say, like last time, I was like, Brighton versus Liverpool. Well, they'll finish. So.
You know what? At the end of the day, this has been a roller coaster, and I think, the way that the fans, the managers, and the players all came together was really inspiring, I would say, and very vocal. But what I was going to say was, we are looking forward, and I think the biggest challenge next is come in on Thursday with our heads held high, determined, hungry, and face off against West Brom. I think they're going to come into this game just as hungry, just as determined to do exactly what any other club in the Premier League. Those remaining 14, and I think it's going to be a dogfight, and I think our boys are going to do us proud.
I'm hoping so. And just final thoughts with you, Mark, as well, on similar points of that, because we just need, again, rally the troops, get them together, and let's go for it. And we've got Chelsea in the cup final as well.
Oh, what time to be alive, eh?
Ooh, everything is made everything spicy.
We will have the whole world behind us that day. It's not just going to be the Leicester City fans that are going to want us to win at Wembley, but we've got a lot to look forward to.
I was on the Chelsea fan channel, and even some of them were saying, "No, we actually wish that you guys." Even they were Chelsea fans saying, "Yeah, because what they've done to us, we hope that you win, and we hope Jamie Vardy last-minute goal. That would be sick. That would be so good." Anyway, we'll end it here. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, all the bit. I know we didn't cover West Brom, but I did put in the title. But one of those things. I'm sorry, lads, but what can we do? Anyway. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you for 400 subscribers. You guys are awesome. And we'll see everybody in the next video. So goodbye.